What, my screen?
Hello. What's going on, everybody? It's another episode of The Jew and the Brown Man. It's been a long time. And surprisingly enough, since we did the last episode, I haven't shaved. I just got a hot shave today. The Jew, how's it look, man? How's it look? It looks all right. Dude, I look like Bin Laden's third cousin, man. It was bad, man. I'm telling you, it was bad. This wintertime, nobody want to shave. I didn't want to, but now finally, nice and clean. One of the perks of being a brown man is that the beard looks pretty damn. It looks good. It looks good, man. Kenny, you cannot pull this off, can you? You can't do it.
Not only can I not grow a beard, it looks like some sort of disease on my face. Even after like weeks and weeks, it just doesn't come in right.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked for a brokerage firm back in the day, my boiler room days. We had to wear the white shirt and either a blue or a red tie. That was it. You had your uniform. Not that anybody came to see us or cared about what we were doing. Plus, we were selling fake stocks. But one day I came in with just a little scruff on my face, and my manager walks over to me and takes a credit card and flicks it across my face. He's like, I shouldn't be able to hear any sound. He's like, where do you think you're going? I was like, he's like, did you shave today? I'm like, no. What's the difference? He's like, why don't you go home and shave? I was like, what if I wanted to embrace my Judaism and grow a beard? He's like, we'd fire your ass. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize I was working for a fucking anti-Semitic fucking Nazi. And it turned out he was like a Nazi sympathizer, I think, this guy.
But 20, 30 years ago, HR policies were, horrible. And now, everything's very relaxed. Come on, you've been to our WeWork office in New York City. Imagine instituting a dress and appearance policy at a fucking place like WeWork. You know what I mean? Nobody would work for you. 20, 30 years ago, you had to be like, yes, boss. Yes, sir. And then go the fuck home and do the same thing the next day. And then Friday, you were lucky enough to wear a pair of jeans and a motherfucking tropical shirt that made you look like a fucking jackass, man. Am I right? Casual
Fridays, yeah.
All right, guys. So let's roll right into this. So we got a big snowstorm coming here that's gonna hit DC, Philly, half the East Coast here, except for Boston. It's looking like I'm gonna be a little unscathed here. How you looking? And by the way, they named this snowstorm Jonas, and that totally thwarts our previous theory that they're using angry brown people names to name hurricanes and tornadoes and shit like that. They're using Jonas on this one, so clearly it's not a race thing.
Right. Oh, I don't know. Is it named Jonas? Great. All I know is like if my Sheepshead Bay building gets flooded again, I'm gonna be just heartbroken. I can't start cleaning up a bunch of sewage again like Sandy. I'm not gonna stand for it. But my plan is they're supposedly we're gonna get maybe 6 to 8, maybe a foot of snow here. I got my lawn chair outside waiting. I'm just gonna sit out there with a cup of coffee or a hot chocolate and just shovel every hour and a half, and so I don't have to bust my ass. I'm leaving my cars out in the driveway, so at least I don't have to shovel those areas. And then I just pull the car into the garage. But yeah, hopefully it's not as much as a nightmare as they're making it sound, But they always say it's going to be a lot worse than it is. I hope they're wrong. And you guys in Boston, you're getting a little bit of a break because you got your asses kicked the last time, right?
So last year we had about 8 feet of snow. I was jumping off my roof, which was 25 feet high. I even threw my daughter off the fucking thing, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. Of course, my daughter's mother killed me for doing that, but absolutely. So this year we haven't had shit for snow really. And it's looking like we're going to dodge this one too. So anybody who's out there is going to get smoked here with the snow. Just enjoy the time. Disconnect, unplug, read a fucking book, man. Maybe pick up the journal, do some reading, spend some quality time with the family and away from this crazy ass market, which we're about to get into. Kenny, what do you think? What are your thoughts here coming into January with the biggest sell off? And by the way, guys, our last episode, we said this market wasn't going to sell off. And bam, here we are. SPY hit 182 here, which is a huge drop from the 210 area that we kind of stalled out in for the whole year of 2015, man. So, Kenny, thoughts on this first month of trading here?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I was long. I was like telling my boys in the room, saying, all right, this year I'm not going to make the mistake of, not participating in the year-end rally. So we bought QQQ calls on that first dip around that 101. When it went down to the 109. And that was, we had just hit 114. We pulled back. So we had sold them, and then we were just waiting to buy them back. And the market tanked that Thursday. That was December 29th. And I was like, wow, I can't believe we're going down we never go down on the December 29th.
Right.
Tomorrow should be an up day. And then we tanked that Friday, just got absolutely destroyed. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm wrong, because this is something I haven't seen in a long time. Luckily, I had sold the calls, but I didn't start selling my stocks up until like late that day. I mean, and I was dumping out a rig at like 13. The thing fucking hit 9, selling. I even got out of the Alcoa, the goddamn dog stock of my life. Luckily, I almost got back to 10 there. I had a ton of it at 885 again, and I wound up selling 920, 950, and thank God I sold that. But when the market really started tanking at the start of the year, I just started selling futures against my QQQ position because I didn't want to give in immediately.
Right.
And then I made this great video on YouTube talking about how the market, it hit 108.12 on the Qs and then bounced that day. So I made this video, the market's never going down ever again.
Yeah, I remember.
108.12 is the low of the year. Start buying stocks now. And then I also said at the end of the video, I was like, you got to understand, guys, I'm a trader. If we do break 108.12, I'm selling my Qs, I'm shorting the Qs, and the market might absolutely get destroyed. But I have not still, to this day, it's 25 days later, I'm still catching grief over that call.
Yeah.
Even though I said, hello, if the UVXY is going up and the QQQ breaks 108.12, get the fuck out and short the market. No, you said the market's never going down. I was like, all right. I never said, but also in that same video, I said short Fitbit right here at 32.50. This upgrade, the stock will be at sub 20 within the next couple of weeks. So they'll just take that one nugget and just harp on that shit.
Of course.
I said if it breaks down, I'll admit I'm wrong and I'll go short.
Right. This is mainly the reason too why I've slowed down too on Twitter. If you guys notice, like I don't post that much, on Twitter anymore, simply because it's become an abusive sort of landscape. Like I love Twitter. Don't get me wrong. I love Twitter. I love the connections that I'm able to make on Twitter. But when you're throwing yourself out on these calls and everything, you just get these jabs. You just get this weird social dynamic where everybody just wants to get in that last word, or they just want to prove that they're the better person, they have the better outlook, and blah blah blah. It's like, bro, come on, it's fucking Twitter. Who gives a shit? Right. So I think for me, when I saw the SPY, do you remember when we were going from 200 on the SPY to 208? And we were doing that in like 2 days, and we kept going back up and down, up and down. It probably happened like 3 times. So towards the middle of December, we would dump down to 200 on the SPY and then come all the way back to 208. We did it twice, and then all of a sudden there was a couple of days. There's one day where we just didn't come back, and that was the day. Once we got that gap down, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna get really, really, really ugly, and that leads us into one of the biggest failures, I would say, of 2015 was the financials, man. And I was heavy, man. I was heavy. This Bank of America, looking for this $18 break and looking for it to really get towards, the $20 area. And everybody was buying AIG. Everybody was buying all the banks. XLF calls were crazy. And then once we broke that 200 on the SPY, I mean, look at this shit. Like Bank of America got destroyed. We're looking at 13.5. So just like you were along a little bit and hesitant to just give up on it, I was a little hesitant as well to give up on it. Finally, at around 16.5, 16.25, that's it. I gave up, sold the whole fucking thing, and it was pretty ugly, man. It was pretty ugly across the board for the financials. And that was probably, I would say, one of the biggest failed trades there for 2015, man. What are you thinking on the financials here from here?
You know what it was? It was such a popular idea. Is
man,
why
absolutely.
Raise
Absolutely.
the interest rates. The banks are going to make more money by the banks. And it was a complete failure, just like everybody trying to pick a bottom on oil. And I was like, why don't you just wait to see the DWTI? One of these days it's going to go negative and it's going to tank. And
So guys, we're gonna get into DWTI in a second. The fucking craziest ETF ever created.
Before we go any further, I just want to, speaking of Twitter and stock tweets, I just want to give a big fuck off to all you douchebags that were making fun of me. Now, you can still make fun of me, but when I post something about GoPro, how this is an overinflated one product company that you probably shouldn't be buying here at $80, and everyone's sending me hate mail when I called it a camera on a stick company, and you guys called it a social media camera company. I was like, come on, now you're making a stretch here. Now, again, I was short from 80 to 60 and made some nice money. I didn't hold it down to, $15. And as a matter of fact, it was a great buy a couple of times on the way down there. But also, here's another fuck you to you Fitbit people, and especially to you BTU people. Yeah, here's another one. This guy's telling me, I was like, this stock did a reverse split. It's time to short it. He's like, no, now hedge funds could buy the stock because it's over $5. I'm like, you're the biggest fucking retard I've ever heard talk about anything in my life. You know nothing. Reverse stock splits are the criminal activity of market makers to artificially bring a stock back up so they could short it again. Oh no, man, this is the time to get back in. I'm like, go ahead, buy all you can here at 28, split adjusted. I'll see you at $2 in the next 2 months. And all I try to do is help. I've been doing this 20 years. I think I know a little bit of something about reverse stock splits, especially coming from a boiler room. That's all we did.
Indeed.
Stock would be $5, would go to 20 cents. We'd split it 50 for one, and we'd bring it to $6 again. It'll go back to 20 cents, round and round and round.
All right.
And I'm catching grief.
All right. So we're gonna get into WTI and these fucked up reverse ETFs. Obviously, the oil ones have been, pretty aggressive lately. But let's kill this whole financial talk here. Do you think, for the year going forward or for the next couple of years here, do you think the bank trade can be revived? And what's it going to take? I mean, is there any hope now for the big banks? Me personally, when I look at sort of the millennials and the way they want to do these things, like I don't see them going to use a brick and mortar bank anymore at all. Bank of America, Chase, JP Morgan. And then when you look at these three big banks, it's like, where is that money coming anymore? Obviously, you got your loans, your mortgages, and things like that. But like the aspect of banking, it for some reason, like I really see millennials using or opting for, something that's going to pop up, and I don't think there's much of a future here as far as revenue and all that kind of stuff for the big banks, especially after all their trading is kind of lopped off as well. So what do you think, man? What do you think? Do you think Bank of America can get back up to $20? I gave up on the idea, and I'm like, fuck it, this is not happening. This is not happening. Everybody bailed on this trade. Now that there's nobody in it, maybe, but market has to go back to all-time highs, which I don't see happening right now, and I don't see happening for the year. So what do you think, man? What do you think banks going forward? Do they still have some life in them?
All right, that's a lot of questions. First of all, I have no clue what the hell is going to happen next week. I mean,
Indeed.
We're not trading on our own market anymore. It's China, it's terrorism, it's interest rates, it's currency. There's so many factors making our market do what it does.
What it do? Make it do what it do, baby.
And as far as the banks, I'm not too sure. I mean, how much money, when you say like the millennials and they're not going into the banks, is that where they're making their money? They're making their money just lending it out at cheap rates and cashing in like that and, getting their mortgage payments and that stuff. I don't know how much it's about walking into a bank and how much money they make off.
Well, no, I'm saying like going forward as far as like their revenue streams and increasing that and looking down to as a future and seeing a company like Bank of America being able to make more money when there's no trading there. There's kind of an escape from the traditional banking methods. Everybody's now going mobile and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't see it happening. I can't see Bank of America back up there. And I got a lot of people on Twitter asking me, should I just load up here Bank of America calls? And I can't see it. And I can't tell them yes.
Yeah, I would not, and I've been telling this to everybody. There's no reason to be short or long anything for more than a day. in this market because
Well,
you're getting
depends. Hang on. There's been some freaking people who have smoked the short, just betting on the short side here and really, really destroying things on the swing short. So that
yeah,
stuff
unless
has
you
to be thrown
waited,
out there.
unless you didn't, but imagine you decided that, all right, I got March puts on the Qs. I'm going to, give it another couple of weeks. Next thing you know, you have a 7-point rally in the Qs. So
True.
what I'm saying is there's so much intraday action, and today was an awful day for trading because you just had massive chop. You didn't have usually you have the gap that fails, the UVXY. The UVXY was the only trade that made sense today as it collapsed with the stability of the market. But when there's this much intraday action, when you could buy a UWTI at $1.50 and have it go to 220 in 2 days, if you want to look at percentage gains and that's what you're gauging all your investments on, you're not going to be able to, some of the stocks that I was in, all those shitty ones I talk about, the POT and the Joy Globals and the KMI. Where are you making, 30, 40% in 3 days anywhere else but just picking some spots and hanging on? Now, I don't know whether KMI is going higher from here. I sold it yesterday. I was happy to see this thing above 1250. So when it was at 1350, I'm like, woo, look at me. Now it's at 1550, so I'm an asshole. That's what's sickening about this market. Once we gapped up today and everything I had sold out of yesterday, I was like, oh, maybe I should have held it. But, I played on the side of caution. I wanted to see how the market opened up, and then I would just trade accordingly. But today was that day where I just sat there like, oh man, I should have done this, should have done that, especially with the DWTI, which was just absurd.
Yeah, we're going to bring that in a second. So to your point about the intraday activity, there's a big parallel too about the gaps in the market, right? So the whole way down, we were seeing excessive futures action overnight, which was triggered by, again, China and, a lot of these other things. And we would open down 30 or 40 handles every single day. And then once we opened up, you'd get that shitty intraday activity. There are obviously opportunities here and there, but most of the activity went to those who were short and just kind of holding on short through those gaps and through, all those price levels that we just dug through, even on the high betas, which nobody thought could sell. I remember 2 days before the crash, there was highlights on MarketWatch.com about Amazon hitting all-time highs, Google hitting all-time highs, and you got to get in. You got to fucking get in. You got to get in. And then a couple of days later, smash. You're talking about a 100-point dump price line, 400 points from the fucking high. Like, it's absolutely insane. But a lot of that activity happened on the gap. So what advice do you have for dealing with gaps? There's a lot of traders out there that, have questions on this over and over and over. How do you deal with the big gaps? What is the one thing that you want to do? You go first, and then I'll throw one out there.
Well, the gaps could either they're either the most annoying thing in the world or the most profitable way of trading. What I mean is, if you're buying like KMI and you caught a nice price and you sell into it, and then you want to trade it again the next day and it opens up 11%. What are you going to do? You're going to sit there and just stew about it, and really nothing you can do about it. But on those days where we were getting those gap ups during the sell-off, those were the greatest trading days I had in years because we were in a bearish tone. Gaps fail. So not only were we selling, the market would open up, bang, the Qs would immediately sell off $1. And then what I was looking for is once the VWAPs were being, violated, and then if a stock was reversing and going red, there were tons of trades to be done. So today, the reason it was difficult was now that we're in a bullish frame of mind, the gap kind of held, and you had to feel like you were chasing any long position. So I just sat around and waited for stocks that pulled back and went negative, like U.S. Steel.
Right.
Take a look at what was the other one? We had Cree pulled back for a little while. Starbucks was gapped down, but then it went reversed. I try to ignore the overall market, even though I'm the cues, but as far as the direction of the market, the gaps, the way to play the gaps is normally you want to fade them.
Yep.
And if the gap up comes, you get the fade down and they stabilize. And then if they blast off, once you get back back above that opening price, usually get that big check mark.
All right.
And that's what, that's kind of what we had today.
Right. So I would say for me and in the option space is that what happens on the gaps is you get this huge increase in volatility on your option. You're taking point, let's take today, right? You had a 20-point gap up in Google, right? And when you look at your calls, even on a Friday, right? It could be a Thursday or a Friday. When you look at your weekly calls, they are preemed out the fucking wazoo. Okay, so even if, let's say, you get 2 points or 3 points or an actual move on that stock, you ain't making shit. You're not making shit. And the money ends up going to the sellers of that volatility because you get this slow tape and then you get this pre-burn, you get this theta decay for the whole damn session. So what happens in the option space is that because you missed the overnight move, guess what? You come in the morning and you're pissed off. You want to kill something. You want to kill something, and subsequently, you're looking for that same move to happen. During the session, it doesn't. You get too heavy, and you get burned on the theta decay with your options. So my advice here to trade the gaps is to fucking calm down. Just calm down. Sell some of that shit off the open. Work with that spread. Don't try to cross a wide spread on a name like Google or Amazon or whatever the hell it is. Sit there on the bid. Wait for you to get picked off. And that way you can kind of limit out higher if you're going long options and things like that. All right. So if there's nothing that you take away from the shit that I'm saying right now, is just realize when you get these big gaps, you get a huge volatility premium in your option as soon as the market opens. That shit is going to come out some way, somehow, and chances are it's going to come out with your goofy ass stuck in it, and you're going to be looking at a shitty loss, even though you might have been right on the direction of your stock or whatever the hell it is. So calm the fuck down.
Normally, the reason the fade works, meaning the stock goes down at the open after when it gaps up, is that the guy that was brave enough to buy it yesterday is selling it, because that's what you should do. If you bought an option, on whatever it is, and it's up 100% at the open, you gotta sell it.
You gotta sell it. Gotta sell it.
If it keeps going higher, so be it. You won. You can't really complain. I mean, you can, but and you will. But
indeed.
That's why I like to be liquid. I see a stock like let's talk about Netflix for a second, okay? Sure. They had whatever the numbers were. They were interpreted as good. People like, here we go, Netflix. Thing spiked to 123, came screeching back down to
after hours, guys. Yeah, after hours, guys. That fucking thing hit 123. There was bids all the way down. Like, I bought 117 and sold 118, and then all of a sudden the next day you're looking at $100. Kenny, continue, man.
Yeah, so that stock was an exact trade that I look for. That is a gap that has failed. So some sucker got bought, covered his short or bought the stock at 123.
Yep.
That was the real sucker. You couldn't do anything about that. But then it came down. I shorted it at 118 and then hovered around 116 all for the rest of the close, and it went down to like 112. And I was saying, listen, if this thing opens up and can't get back above that 116 area, which to me was like, I guess you could call it the VWAP, because that's where all the volume was going in through at one point. If it can't get back above 116, this thing might actually go negative, and it didn't even, I think it opened at 109.50 and promptly just fell,
And on a day like today, guys, on a day like today where most of the high beta was up, Apple was up, Facebook, everything was up, look at Netflix. Take a look at a chart of fucking Netflix today, and it looks like ass. It looks like complete ass, right? Nobody is coming in to buy that thing yet. I don't know. I thought that thing was going to hit 110 today. Just because of the, the bullishness here in the high betas. And that thing didn't even move. It didn't even move.
Right. So, it was actually one of the better trades of today, because that was a gap that failed. It broke
failed
down
again.
And then went negative. That was one of the trades. The only really trades that I did well today, if you take a look, Netflix was nice, and VRX late in the day. Again, I will short anything, especially in a market that's this strong. If you got a stock that's going down, that's got to tell you this is a real seller. If you're selling something now and during this bullish move, you got to just go with the flow. VRX, let me show you, it broke. I have something called the multi-day VWAP, and the multi-day VWAP and the 1 minute VWAP kind of were colliding at one point.
Ooh, don't talk dirty to me, Kenny. Don't fucking talk dirty to me.
So at 91, like 91.15, we put a little short on, and then when it broke down under the 90.31, that was all she wrote. And again, you only have to trade large size because this thing's moving in 2-point increments, and that was a great trade. Starbucks, on the other hand, we had the gap down on good earnings. Oh, I don't know what the earnings were, but once the gap down, I'm looking to buy the stock. So we caught a nice spot, but then it broke down under the 1 minute, broke under the multi-day. And all hell broke loose. Then I was on the wrong side of it every fucking time. I mean, break it down. Oh, let me get out of it. Oh, no, it's going back. Let me buy it back. And then, I mean, I traded Starbucks like I had no idea what trading was. And then by the end of the day, it was just about to break down again and then spiked 70 cents into the close just to bust my fucking balls.
All right. I think next week, too, we'll bring in a lot of the earnings here. Obviously, we're heading into the thick of it, with a lot of earnings getting posted here. So we'll keep you guys posted on a lot of that action. But for right now, Kenny, let's pivot over to oil here. This DWTI, now this is a reverse one, right? It's a triple reverse one. So
you're betting against oil.
Right.
You long that stock.
Right. Now, this is a fairly newer, I want to say this is a fairly newer ETF. So they haven't really punished this thing with, issuing more shares and driving this price down and absolutely nothing. So you can see what has happened, obviously, in the past couple of sessions or the past month. So, you're looking at $180 here to about $500. And the pullback that happened today, as well as yesterday, has been absolutely ridiculous. Kenny, talk to us about oil and what's going on with this ETF.
Once again, everyone trying to pick a bottom on oil, and it was hilarious how everybody kept getting it wrong. And I was just sitting there waiting. I was like, one of these days, DWTI is going to be up 30 points.
Yep.
It's going to reverse and drop 100.
Yep.
Now, yesterday, just because it broke, again, it's always the same scenario for me. Let me just put up my 5-day chart for you. So yesterday, and it's hard to believe at this point, at 457, it broke the 1 minute VWAP. I wound up chasing it down 10 points, which I was like, I shouldn't have been doing this. But once it broke under the VWAP and it tried to get back above it, I was like, all right, let me short. I started with 20 shares. I added 20. I got up to 100. Next thing you know, I'm up $4.80 on my 100 shares. Woo! So I cover it. Next thing you know, it rips right back up, almost, back up to like 4. We got short around 4. What was it? We missed 10 points. So it was around 446.
You got to keep a large cushion here. You have to keep a large.
With this thing.
With stocks like this. I mean, I keep a large range with Chipotle even, but this shit is crazier because it's a lot more illiquid. Everybody who wants to trade shit like this, like, guys, if you are not experienced or don't have at least 3 years of experience trading, you shouldn't even be touching this shit.
Yeah, remember,
you really shouldn't.
I started with 20 shares. I worked my way up to 100. I made the 4 points, and it got to be, I don't know, it was probably 12 seconds. I bid into it. I got done on the bid. And then here's the sick thing. It went back to where I originally shorted it and then some. And we're just patting each other on the back. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! It rallied, I got to say, 13, 14 points as soon as we covered. We're champs of the world. And I was like, all right, guys, if this breaks back below the low print that just had, we should reshort it again. I look to my left, I look to my right, it's down 50 points. 50 fucking points. It dropped from 440 down to basically 410.
Yeah.
I'm like, it looks like we might have missed that re-entry.
These are the beautiful things, though, that we can talk about. I mean, we can talk about in the market. Just the fact that this ETF exists and it's moving the way that it is. I don't think it's optionable. Somebody want to check on that one? No. I don't have my platform. It can't be. And by the way, if you're trading options on a fucking ETF that moves like that, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, you got a death wish. And granted, I love that kind of I love that kind of pressure. I love to trade that kind of odds. I fucking love it, man. I get off to the shit, man. I fucking love it, man. I can't tell you how much I love trading the DWTIs, all this kind of stuff. But you know, everybody who's trying to be this overnight celebrity and you know, make one of these big trades to solve all their problems and win the fucking Powerball here, you know, you're talking about 1 out of 100 here, you know, and if you don't hit it right, guess what's going to happen? You know, your account, you're going to blow yourself up. You are going to blow yourself up. So, dude, going forward here, I am looking at some oil names to bounce. I like CVX. I like XOM. I like some of the gas names like PXD. You know, so if oil can really start going, you know, I like to play some of those individual names. I don't really like messing around with USO or oil or any of those ETFs. If you are going to do it and going to, you know, try to bounce oil, make sure you buy some fucking time. Buy some time and get a spread, you know, get a little complex option strategy to cover your ass if the bottom drops out again. I mean, Kenny, what are you doing with oil? Are you looking at it? Are you looking to trade it?
Bro, I don't think I'm ever trading it ever again. I bought the UWTI, which is the other.
Yeah, the other one.
The other one, the one that went from
another one
$1.50. So I figured at $1.50, what am I going to lose? $3,000. I bought 2,000 shares. It can only go to zero. You know, even if they split it 50 more times, I can only lose this $3,000. Maybe oil bounces sometime in the next 20 years, and it bounces the next day. I mean, it's just a sick thing. Now, I'm not a big fan of the idea that oil is going to go back to $50 a barrel. Maybe alternative energy actually did something.
Actually takes, right? And we could bring in solars. We could bring in a lot of all this other stuff. But what if down here on oil, you know, what if the alternative energy really takes? What is that going to look like? What's that going to look like a year from now? What's that going to look like, you know, 5 years from now? Could oil just sit down here and that's it? Everybody just, you know, and that's it. We work through all this supply and we never bounce. It's a possibility. It happened with natural gas. It happened with natural gas, you know.
It happened with this. When you guys are too young to remember, but gold sucked for 20 years. Nobody gave a shit about gold.
Yeah.
You know, it had a monster run at one point, and then it crashed, and then it just did nothing for a decade. So oil, you know, all you hear about is tankers are out there getting rusty, full of oil. We let these terrorists let more oil on this Iran thing. Is just, well, I don't want to get started because it's just another indication of how our nation is a bunch of pussies now. But they take our guys, they take our boats.
Here we go. Here's a Donald Trump rant, everybody. Here's a fucking Trump rant.
Yeah, hostage swapping. We should accidentally drop a nuke. Oh, was that a nuclear bomb? Oh, we didn't mean that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, you didn't mean to take our guys on that boat either, right? Oh, sorry, we accidentally dropped a nuke on you. And then we're letting these savages let them put more oil on the market? I mean, come on. Usually, and you know what? When that Iran story first broke and oil still went down that day, I was like, wow, we really don't need oil. I mean, usually one indication of some, you know, political strife in the oil countries, usually we would have a spike in oil. You get nothing.
Yeah, I'm paying. By the way, I'm paying like $1.70 over out here in Boston. $1.70, $1.80. By the way, hit us up on Twitter. Tell us what you're paying in your area. California is still not even touching it. Like it's still $3 and change over there.
Really?
Jersey, I know it's fucking cheap as shit. Probably like $1.40, $1.50. But let us know what you're paying for oil right now, wherever you at, and let us know too where you're at. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. We got a ton of questions here on Twitter. Kenny, let's get through some of these. First, we got @Bluefielder asking me how tall I am. He shits on me for being a fucking short guy. I am 4'4", 5'4". Did I just say 4'4"? No, I am 5'4". This might as well be the same fucking thing. Let's see what else we got. We have from @FettyVWAP, and I think I gave him that name. Could it be the year to short autos as they spend shit tons on tech and coming off a record year? So he's asking short auto. So what do you think about this?
Wait, I'm looking at.
What do you got?
Let's see.
I would say for me, for the Tesla, for example, like Tesla, you know, Tesla at 220, Tesla at 240. You know, these were great shorts. I mean, I think we're just in a market right now where they're going to start taking profits across the board. As far as Ford, as far as you know, some of these other names, I I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like there's a big shift that's going to happen in that whole market. So I kind of like that idea. I kind of like that idea completely on the short automobiles. By the way, I went to an auto show in Boston, where they had all the major dealerships out there, and nothing was popping, man. I think the next thing that everybody's going to go for is this self-driving car shit, man. I mean, once that hits the street and there's tests that happen and all that. Think about the applications here for a self-driving car. That you might end up using Uber applications and all this kind of stuff. I bet my money on that shit. So as far as some of these cars, I don't like trading them anyway. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I've traded Ford since it came out of bankruptcy. I don't even watch the auto stocks except for Tesla, I guess, if you want to throw them in there. But, now that oil's so cheap, you would think Tesla would have gone down even more.
Right. I'm still waiting for that to happen, but it's become a popular car. And again, just like we said earlier about, hey, maybe the new standard here is all other, alternative energy, regardless of how cheap oil is. Maybe it just, needed to happen, man. So moving on here. Thank you for the question at Fetty VWAP. And dude, we got to do something with that name, man. You got to come up with some raps or something here. At James Fournier is saying, do you take the Patriots at plus 3.5 against the Broncos here for the AFC game? Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots to cover. I think right now they're going. Is it Denver? They're going for? I don't know, but
they're
yeah,
in Denver and they're favored by 3, so they're really favored by 6, really. So
there you go. Yeah, I would totally take Patriots to cover here. I don't think Peyton. I don't think Peyton is going to be able to pull out, the win and figure the game unless their running game is that crazy and they're able to score several touchdowns and get up pretty early on us. I don't think so, man. Kenny, what do you think?
I think New England wins by a minimum of 10. Plus, also, guys, if you follow my, I'm a Jets fan, and all I do normally is bet against the Jets every year. And once again, you were profitable. Because the inevitable collapse of the Jets is it's a standard practice in my life, and this year hurt even worse. But New England is just salt in the wound. So now what I do now is I just assume New England's going to win the Super Bowl every year. I bet on them. I'm going to bet. I'm not even going to worry about the spread. I'm just taking them to win. I'll lay out the cash.
Yeah.
And take them to win. I don't even see this. This might not even be a game. It might be another embarrassment. But all
right, so next question here, we got Jack Scholes. What do you guys think of Einhorn going short Amazon and Netflix? Did he actually disclose a short position on the two of them? If so, it sucks to be dragged through the mire like a man like Einhorn, and a lot of the hedge fund guys that have gotten smoked, the past year. Last year was one of the worst performing years for a lot of hedge funds out there, and you're talking about guys who have been the horses to bet on for 30 years, 20 years, 30 years, and to me, I look at all this stuff and I'm just like, hey, while you're on top, try to juice it as much as you can, but you ain't going to stay on top forever. You can look at athletes. You can look at any high-performing sort of job. There's no fucking way you're going to be able to stay on top. Markets change. Everything changes. So as far as Einhorn getting kicked in the fucking nuts every trade, it seems, think he's Einhorn, man. He's Einhorn. And you're on fucking Twitter talking about Einhorn. Meanwhile, this guy's, worth billions. So, we can't really say much. Kenny, what do you got to say about that?
I got to say, I can't look more. I swear to God, I won't look at this market for more than 24 hours into
because you get frustrated, right? You get frustrated.
I mean, hey, look, if you took my long-term portfolio and me and my dad joke around about it, because I can make a little money trading, but some of my portfolio, some of the stocks don't even exist anymore. Remember Walter Energy? How you doing?
Oh man, Walter, how you doing?
Yeah, how about US Steel? How about US Steel? When I bought it at 27, I bought more at 37. I'm loading up at 42, and I'm dumping it all at 37, thinking this is probably not a good idea to dump it all. And now it's at $7. How about the Alcoa? Remember 2 years ago? $24 by April. Yeah, it's about a year and a half now. The stock's at $6.
Peabody Energy, freaking Potash was Potash, all those agriculture names, any commodity name, whatever it is, you're talking about pennies on the dollar from what they used to be worth. Right. So clearly our whole environment is changing. The markets are changing. People are clearly dumping and getting rid of these names that, you know, just haven't performed well. We got another question from @Muspet. Who can do more push-ups between the two of us? I mean, we know the answer to this question. We know the answer to this question. There's no fucking way you can do more push-ups than me.
I don't know. I do.
Could you do 60 in a row? Can you do 60 in a row?
No.
All right, so you're done. You're done. You're fucking done.
You could bang out 60 right now?
I mean, I could bang out 50. 60 would be like, but I could get there.
That's pretty good, man. No, I'd be huffing and puffing at 25, 30. But I don't do it for strengthening. I just do it to look good. I'm a svelte 175, 5'10", 5'11", so I just have to just keep it fit.
There you go. And @James Fournier's got 5,000 on the Patriots to cover. So good luck, buddy. I think you'll be fine. I don't know what the odds are. I don't know what the odds are there. But you should be, you should be good. Let's see. We got Highway Outer Line. Yo, these Twitter names are fucking crazy.
I like the VWAP Fetty thing. That was funny.
The Fetty VWAP. I gave him that shit. Fetty VWAP hit me up. Who gave you that name? Word on the street is Tesla cars explode while trying to self-park, kind of like SpaceX rocket boosters. That was that was clearly a joke. It was
I also hear if you buy a Tesla, they give you 4 hoverboards with it.
Listen. All this shit talk on Elon Musk. The man sent a fucking rocket to space. It came back. So you can reuse this rock. Come on, like you can't shit on the man. You can't shit on the man. And this is why Twitter gets so crazy, because it's so easy to sit there on your keyboard and type away and just shit on somebody. It's freaking hilarious. All right, guys. So I think we're going to close out for the day. Kenny, let's go best ideas here. 3 best ideas here you got for the week besides not trading.
Well, if you're thinking about buying stocks with an 18-month, 2-year horizon, I still like all my little shitty stocks down here. I like the Potash of Saskatchewan.
Potizzy.
Company called Joy Global has been around since 1888. I think they're going to figure out a way. I think they're going to figure out a way to survive here. So I bought that. I still got, I bought it the other day at $9. Opens up at 10. I'm thinking closed at 9. But if you're, and again, I love the Qs, but we just had a 7-point rally. So, it's funny. We had a correction. We've had a rally. Now we got to correct the corrections rally. So somewhere in the middle here, I'd like to see this market pull back again. And, everyone was, we were making fun of people when they were talking about testing the August lows. Guess who was right? They were. So if we test again, I'll give you a level, I think the low print, not the low print from 2 days ago, because that's a disaster. But, you like that $100, 50-cent range. If I could get a 3-point pullback and it holds this time, I think getting back in the Qs. And the Qs are basically, Netflix and Google and Apple and Amazon and Priceline and all that stuff. You get all that in one stock. I think the one of the best ideas is when I listened to CNBC in the background and I heard the growth story in Apple is over. What? Oh, let me buy some. Because the last time they said the growth story in Apple was over, it rallied 250 points. So I was waiting for that key phrase. When I heard that, I was like, all right, let me buy some Apple for my kids. But I'm telling you guys, it's very hard for me to commit cash to this market when there's this much intraday action. But I like the Joy Global. It's so where's it going? Breaks 850. I'm going to take my $500 hit and, be done with it. Potash of Saskatchewan. Eventually, we're going to have to plant shit and grow shit again, I assume, one day. I don't know if we're ever going to need oil again because we've got there's so much of it and we have alternative energy. But eventually, we're going to have to grow things to eat and live. So I'm assuming potash eventually. And I'm not looking for some hero trade. I'm here at $15.50. If it gets to $20, I'm going to be, that's a great investment.
Nice. All right. So for my 3 trades, I think the best trade idea that I had for the last 2-3 months was short Expedia. I was short from about 125, 126. I covered at 114 the fucking thing went to $100, and that's the strike that I had. That's what I was looking for. The market just got so crazy, you know, I had to let it go. I liked shorting this back at 114 or back at 115. I love Priceline. I want to short the living shit out of this through $1,000. I think it's going to happen sometime this year. You know, I don't want to get too specific with it. I would say for intraday trades for the week, if the market still has some upside, maybe to 192 on the SPY, maybe to 194. I love Amazon, Apple. I love these. That's all I'm going to be playing every single fucking day. We already know this. This is all I'm going to be trading every single fucking day. Amazon, Google, all these kind of things. They have 20-point. They got 30-point ranges every day. Every day they got 30-point ranges. So I can, you know, I can scalp a quick 5 points every single day. And, you know, trading the SPY 2 has been great. I would say for any of the futures traders, like, you guys have a real opportunity and you had a real opportunity to do some serious damage out here. The problem is, though, the overnight, you know, activity and all this kind of stuff makes you want to hold on to, you know, trades that, you know, let's say you're in the right direction for 10 handles, but all of a sudden you get a 30 handle shakeout, and, you know, you're ending up taking a loss. Like the futures traders, if you're able to scalp, you know, 5-10 handles here and there, you know, you can rack shit up real nicely in this market. So anybody who's trading ES, you know, this is the time to be dangerous. But again, make sure you fucking stick to your stops, please. Otherwise, that shit is going to get out of hand real quick, and you're going to blow out your account very quickly. You know, the futures leverage is freaking crazy, so be careful. Anybody who's on the Ninja Trader, man, ninja that shit up, but be careful.
Hey, where do you trade futures? Because I got a friend who opened up a brokerage firm. If anybody needs futures trading, I could get you the cheapest rates on the planet, basically at cost from the firm. So if you guys want to, you know, contact me about opening up a futures account, let me know. Kenny Glick at AOL.com. And if you also want to learn about VWAP and how to save your ass, because VWAP, I'm telling you, it's been saving my ass. This could have been a disastrous week. I mean, Today sucked. Today was the worst day I've had, you know, since of the year. Just because I was getting chopped up, I got a little bit too aggressive, and, you know, nothing really followed through. It was just a bunch of choppy shit. Also, for full disclosure, the Glick Fund, we own GE still. I think I lost you. Can you hear me? Twitter guys, can you hear me? My boy's frozen over here. Brown man. All right, I'll keep talking, just assuming that you guys can hear me. I own this also, the stock, that team stock. It was an IPO. Bought it at 27, went up to 31, and tanked all the way back down to the IPO price, so I bought more at 22. We got GE, POT, Joy Global. I got Verizon, a company called VGR, Kimberly-Clark, because everybody needs, you know, feminine products. And that pretty much rounds up the portfolio. You know, Verizon's been doing pretty well for us. GE took a little hit today, but not huge positions, but we've had these for a while, and I'm not selling it. I'm hoping GE gets back above 30 sometime this year, and I'll probably dump it this time. I don't know. All right, you hear me? Cool. I'll just keep talking. I can't see Sang Lucci anymore, but maybe I'll just wrap up because there's no way for me to know if you're talking or not. Good luck, guys. And oh wait, I think he's coming back. Maybe not. Now his screen is blank. I'm talking to myself, just like most days. All right, well, take a look. Also, I just want to say one thing about this team, TEAM. The first earnings report that an IPO comes out with, this is where they lie, cheat, and steal. This is when they pay the analysts to upgrade their stock after their first report. So I'm thinking that this team, which reports next week, I believe, a week and a half from now, you want to be in the team, TEAM. I mean, you missed a nice entry at 22, but I think maybe we get to 27, 28 again. And then, obviously, if you hold into their earnings report, I think you might get another pop out of it, because this is usually the first quarter they want to lie and cheat and steal, like I said, about how well they're doing. You might get a pop, and then they also pay analysts to upgrade their stocks coming out of their first earnings report. All right, my friends, Sang Lucci, catch up to you next week. Good luck. Have a nice weekend, and don't take any of this too serious, or you'll lose your hair and be insane like me. All right, peoples. Later.